In this Google Ads guide, you're going to learn how to use the Keyword Planner to find buyer-specific keywords, the keywords that will actually drive leads and sales for your PPC campaigns. Hey, I'm Jason, and if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for the latest in traffic and conversion strategies to help grow your business online. Now, as we dive in here, just keep in mind that the Keyword Planner is designed to find all the keywords under the sun remotely related to your product or service. It's our job to figure out which specific ones actually represent buyers. So we're looking for a very small sliver of what Keyword Planner gives us, and that'll make a whole lot more sense as we dive in. So if you don't already have a Google Ads account, all you have to do is just search Google Ads in Google and you'll come to a page that looks something like this, or you can just go ahead and log into your account. So I'll assume you already have one. I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. And then from our dashboard, I'm currently in Overview. All we need to do to get to the Keyword Planner is to come to Tools and Settings. And by the way, timestamp table of contents below. Totally forgot to say that. So you can easily skip around this video if you already know some of the basics. And then we'll come into Keyword Planner. And this is going to be where you decide whether you want to look at forecasts or keywords. And again, we want to be very, very specific. I hope this becomes really repetitive, but to get started with our search, we do need 3 to 4 seed keywords is what we're going to call these. And these should just describe your product or your service. And I'll go through some examples in a moment here. So jumping back into the interface, we will be using this tool to discover new keywords with our 3 to 4 seed keywords. And this is great if you already have that list of keywords, or you're doing something for a client, or a friend just asks you, hey, what happens when we want to use Google search ads? This will give you some search forecasts. So we'll go ahead and select Discover Keywords. And we're actually going to use Start with Keywords instead of Start with a website. Quick little hack here. You don't have to use your own website name when you're looking up keywords. So it could be somebody else's website. It's just scraping public information. So we'll go ahead and start with our keywords here. I'm going to say we're a Facebook ads agency and we're looking for more Facebook ads and marketing clients. So I went ahead and used Facebook Ads Management, Best Facebook Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Agency, and Best Facebook Ads Agency. Now, where I came up with this is from one of the templates we like to use when quickly setting up new campaigns. And so you can hopefully use one of these formulas, location plus service, or best plus your profession or service, as a way to come up with 3 to 4 keywords that really describe what you do as a business. And so timestamps below, you can always come back to this slide. Here are just another set of examples that you can use as a way to figure out what keywords to put in to the Keyword Planner. So we'll go back to the Keyword Planner. Now they do allow you to enter your domain or someone else's domain. I do recommend starting with the seed keywords because you're going to get a lot more useless information if you go ahead and start off using other people's domains. So, or your own domain here. Let's go ahead and click on Get Results. And then let's go ahead and go over all of the settings we have in this dashboard. Again, if you already understand the dashboard, you want to jump straight into the keywords, here's the timestamp to jump to the keyword section. So in the dashboard, we have some settings that's going to determine what keywords Keyword Planner actually shows us. So if we come up to the top here, we'll be able to change and modify the seed keywords we started with in the first place. Now there is a little warning here. And if we go ahead and click on it, you'll see pretty much the same dialog box we had at the beginning. Now there's a big warning. Save all your changes before you modify this because the list of keywords will change. So if you're going through the list of keywords and you see something that you like and you don't save it to your plan, which we'll talk about in data analysis, and then you change something here, it's going to disappear. Or just make sure you change the settings before you start looking at the list, right? So let's go ahead and go to locations. So for locations, I recommend setting it in the same fashion that you're going to set up your campaigns. So if your campaigns are going to be organized by state, then go ahead and set up the states that you want. Or if you are in one state and you're going to be setting up your campaigns by zip codes or neighborhoods or counties, then go ahead and use that as your list. So that's what I recommend here. We'll get into how you can actually see a breakdown of states in a moment. I usually skip the language, of course, as this is important. If you're targeting a language that's not the primary language of the location, then this might be important, although you typed in the keywords in the language you want to target, so it's probably not a huge deal. And then we'll go ahead and leave Google search parameters alone. This is just going to restrict the number of keywords you see, and we want to see all of them. And I don't recommend messing with the months unless you're a seasonal business. So if you're selling a bunch of trinkets for a particular holiday, then this might actually make sense. And next, we have some suggested keywords. I recommend just leaving these alone. They're very, very broad, and you're going to find them in the list of keywords below anyway. So there's really not an advantage to adding them here. Now, we can go ahead and go down to this chart, which is going to give you some average search volume for the keywords that it's found. Although we're going to use the forecast tool when we've chosen the keywords we actually care about. So this is nice to know, but it's not really going to help with your keyword research or setting up your campaign. Now, what you can do is come over here to the top right, and you can actually change the different breakdowns. So we'll go ahead and click on by platform here. And this is going to be very helpful in making sure that your website is optimized for the correct screen size. So as an example here, this is not going to be true for most keywords, but it looks like most business owners who are looking for a Facebook ads agency are on their desktop or laptop when they're looking. They're not just casually browsing for a new agency on their phone. Although a lot of consumer goods, it's probably going to be reversed, where we're going to see more people on mobile and less people on desktop. So that's just a good thing to know kind of in the back of your head when it comes to optimizing your website. And we can come back up here to the top and then also break down by locations. And because we've selected the United States, we're seeing some of the top most trafficked states. And of course, this can also be helpful because you may find that there are some states or locations that is being included in the search that you don't actually want to target or care about. And that will let you know to go back up to the location settings and be a little more strict. Here, I think just entering your country is way more than enough to actually be specific with your location targeting. So now let's get into the actual keywords, the actual research based upon your seed keywords. So we'll jump back into our interface here, and then we will scroll down to the listing of all the keywords that Google has come up with based upon our seed. So you can see our seed keywords at the top, and then you can start to see the list of keywords that Google has come up with at the bottom. Now, I'm going to be a broken record here. Make sure that we find keywords that represent someone who actually wants to buy something. There are a lot of keywords here. We only want keywords that someone's typing in because they want to whip out their credit card and actually purchase something. They're actively looking to buy. Those are the keywords we want. And the keywords that don't represent someone who wants to buy, we're going to add as negative keywords. So coming back to our chart here, or our table here, you can see we have all of our keywords, and then you can also filter. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the filter settings here. So if you click on add filter, you'll actually be able to filter things by keyword, monthly searches, and there's a lot of exclusions that you can have here. Because you're trying to find keywords, I don't recommend actually lowering it or funneling things down too much here, because you want to see all of the options that you have. Now, when it comes to filtering by keyword though, there is something that you may want to do, and that is filter out the phrases who, what, when, where, free, and how. And the reason that you might want to put these in is to eliminate all of those keywords that represent people who are looking for how to do something, and they're not necessarily actively looking to buy. So that's really the only asterisk here I have in terms of filtering out the list of keywords, so you're only looking at potential buyer keywords. And of course, if you're looking for negative keywords, don't do this because you need to see all those other phrases, right? And then the other thing you might want to do is filter by the keywords you already have in your account if you're looking to optimize. Just keep in mind that if it's in a paused campaign, it's going to filter it out as well. So I think that's enough for our filtering. Let's go ahead and talk about columns. By default, it has all the columns that you would want. The only other column that you might want to add here is indexed competition, which can be helpful if you're looking at two really similar keywords, you're on a very tight budget, and you just need some sort of metric or number to tell you which one is less competitive, because low, medium, high, as we get to in a moment, might not be enough information. So I'll go ahead and skip this for now. We have all of our settings and filters and columns columns ready to go. So now let's actually dive into analyzing these keywords. Now let's actually figure out what keywords should we be adding to our campaign plan. And a huge mistake you want to avoid here is looking at average monthly searches, because those really don't matter. As long as the keyword represents a buyer, if 2 or 3 people search a month, those are 2 or 3 potential customers. So we're going to add it to our list. Now, I also want to point out here that I'm seeing exact numbers because we're doing this in an actual live account. If you're doing this for the first time in your account, you might be seeing ranges of numbers. And this is simply because Google is protecting its information from a bunch of people who have been using this tool for SEO, which is not really designed for. And so as you start to spend money, this tool will actually become more helpful because it will give you some more exact numbers as opposed to just ranges. So just wanted to point that out. Nothing's wrong with your account if you're seeing ranges instead of exact numbers. Now, the next one is competition, and that's just going to tell you the number of an approximate number of people who are also bidding on those keywords. So remember that it is an auction marketplace. So there are tons of other business owners, well, not tons, there are several or tons of other business owners who are also targeting these exact same keywords in your area. And the higher the competition, typically the more the keyword's actually going to cost. And so the estimated cost per click, this is something that definitely don't get scared when you see something where the keyword, the top keyword, it costs $69 per click, right? So there are ways to actually still get on the first page without paying $69 or some of these other ones here, 18, 32, or 56, right? So don't get scared of those. Always just focus on the buyer keywords. So let's go ahead and analyze these keywords, do some real data analysis here, and figure out what keywords make sense for our Facebook ads agency. Of course, this is just an example. It'll be different for whatever your product, service, or business is. So what I like to do is scroll through the list of keywords and look for ways to group them together. So in this particular instance, I'm just going to scroll through and look for everything related to Facebook advertising agency. Now, something I do want to point out here is you can see this keyword, FB Ads Manager. I don't know if they're looking for an actual manager for their Facebook ads or if they're talking about the Facebook Ads Manager tool. And I bring this up because there are going to be keywords that might have multiple meanings. And if there's not a singular meaning, then don't target the keyword. So everything related to Facebook Ads Manager or Ads Manager or Business Manager Facebook, I'm going to ignore because I don't know if they're looking for an agency to help them or they're just looking for tutorials on how to use the Facebook tools, because the Facebook Ads Manager is literally called the Facebook Ads Manager. So we don't know which one they're looking at. So we're going to ignore those. So here I'm going to look for everyone who's looking for some sort of advertising agency or company. And so scrolling down here, I'm going to select Facebook Advertising Company, Facebook Ads. I'm going to skip FB Ads Manager again, and Facebook Marketing Manager I'll actually get to later. And I'll scroll down one more time and I'll add 2 more keywords, Facebook Ad Management and Facebook Ad Agency Pricing. And so all these keywords have in common is they're using the term ad or advertising. And so I'm just grouping them together by being somewhat similar. And so once you have those selections, by the way, when you're going through this the first time, you don't actually have to worry about grouping them. I'm just doing this for time purposes, but you can just click on every keyword that you think would be a good fit for your campaign. And to save us some time, I'll just quickly scroll through this list and add 2 more that have to do with advertising and ad agencies. And once we have selected all the keywords we're interested in, we can come up here to this blue bar and we'll want to add it to our plan. So we can go ahead and add it to a plan or existing campaign. I don't recommend adding to an existing campaign from here. We'll go ahead and add it to a plan, and then we'll come over here to ad group and we'll just give it a name, FB Advertising, because it's ad keywords and advertising keywords. We'll go ahead and click on create here, and then we can come over to the match type. So remember, when it comes to search ads, you have different ways of telling Google how strict to be with the keywords. Now, they recently did away with broad match modifier, and exact match isn't actually exact match anymore. But beside all of that jargon, you want to have phrase match and you want to have exact match as the two types of keywords that you use. And the reason that we don't recommend using broad match is just because you get way too many unqualified clicks. And so phrase match and exact match, just make sure that you are really focused with the people who are actually typing in something very close to the keyword, whereas broad, you can get all sorts of things. It's an absolute mess. So we'll go ahead and add it as a phrase match here, and then we can go ahead and click on add the keywords to our plan. And you'll see now in this column, we have account status. It's saved to our plan, and we can go ahead and view our forecast. So we'll click on view forecast here, and it will start giving us some numbers on how much they think it's going to cost per click and a monthly budget. We'll get to that in the forecasting section. We don't have to worry about that right now. Let's go ahead and scroll down, and this is our plan. So we can see all of the keywords that we just added, as well as the ad group we wanted to add them to. Now, if you have a lot of keywords, you're doing this for the first time, especially if you're in e-commerce, go ahead and just add everything to the same ad group, export it into Excel, which you can do by clicking this button right here, downloading it as a CSV, and then organize everything. I'm just organizing and going at the same time because, well, this is a video and the magic of editing, right? So let's go ahead and add all of these to our plan again. And the reason we want to do that is we've added them as phrase match, and now we have to add them as exact match. So we can jump back into our interface, go to keywords ideas. I'll show you another way to do this when we do ad group number 2. And what we're going to do is go through and select all of the same keywords. And this time when we come up here, we'll leave it at plan, we'll leave it at FB advertising, but we're going to click here and go ahead and click on exact match. I almost clicked broad. I don't know why I did that. Don't click broad. You never want broad match. So we'll go ahead and click exact match and add the keywords. And now we can go ahead and click on view forecast again here at the bottom. And if we scroll down, now you'll see that we have two versions of our keywords. We have the phrase match and we have the exact match. And this is exactly what you want to have as you start putting together your ad groups. And of course, you can change which ad groups they apply to later. And so I'm just going through an example of we're just going through our first run, and then we can really get organized later. So now let's go ahead and select a second set, and I focused on advertising keywords. So now I'm going to look for keywords that have the word marketing in them. So I'll have an advertising keyword group and I'll have a marketing keyword group. So we'll go back up to keyword ideas here, and we'll scroll through, select some for time purposes. Obviously I did this ahead of time. This will take a lot longer when you're going through, and we'll go ahead and select some keywords related to marketing. So we'll go ahead and just scroll down the list here. We have our 4, and it's okay if one ad group has 10 keywords, another one has 4. Again, you can always just work with evening things out. I recommend having 3 to 7 keywords max per ad group. And so we're going to leave it in our plan, right? And then instead of clicking on FB advertising, we can go ahead and click on create a new group here. So we'll just call this FB marketing this time, and we'll click on create, and then we will add as phrase match. And so at the end, we'll go through how to actually create a campaign from what the plan that we're making right now. And once we do that, we can go ahead and click on add keywords, and we can go back to our forecast. We'll come back to our forecast, scroll down here, and we'll see we have digital marketing agency Facebook. And if we scroll down again, we'll have the other marketing keywords. So I only did 4 this time. Now, instead of adding the keywords as an exact match going back to the table, this time what we're going to do is we can actually come up to the top, click on the plus button, and then we can just paste in the keywords that we want. Now, you have to make sure that you're in the right ad group, right? So we are in FB marketing, and then we'll paste them in as exact match. So the way you tell Google that you want something to be exact match is using brackets. And so there were only 4 keywords, and let's say I had a good enough memory to remember what they were, then we just go ahead and type them in real quick. And if you're doing this multiple times, this is an easy way to combine multiple plans into one. So we'll go ahead and click on save now, and you'll see our 4 keywords have been added to our plan. And when we scroll down, we'll see that we now have exact match versions of all of our keywords. Now, I won't bore you with going through this process over and over again, but we are going to do it one more time because I recommend creating a to be determined ad group, or TBD. And these are the keywords where you're not quite sure if they actually represent buyers. And so right now we know that anything with Facebook ads and manager in it, they're probably talking about the software, but there are some other keywords here that I'm not quite sure if they represent a buyer or not. So we're just going to make an ad group and say, you know what, this is an ad group where we're just kind of throwing baloney at the wall. We're not quite sure. Let's see what happens with it. And if you're on a really tight budget, then I recommend continuing to do this, go through this process anyway, but just don't make this ad group live. Just have it there for future reference. So let's go ahead and go back to our keywords here. Again, for time purposes, I'll just scroll down and select our 4. So I have Facebook Ads Manager, then we'll go Facebook Agency and Facebook Ads Manager, and then Instagram Ads. So the 2 Ads Manager ads, 2 Ads Manager keywords, I'm going to add to our plan, and I'm going to research whether or not there's a way to make those keywords work. Probably not, but this is just kind of the baloney at the wall, and I really don't think that keyword's going to work, but I am a marketer, so we have to try it out and we have to do our research, right? So we'll go ahead and click on Create Ad Group. I really don't think it's going to work though. We'll go ahead and click on Create, and then we're going to add as phrase match. Add the keywords, and then we'll do the exact same. We'll add them as exact match. If you're just doing this for future research, then you don't have to go through this extra step, but I have the same keywords selected again. And of course we can just skip on over to adding them as exact match here. So we'll add them as exact, add keywords, and now we can go ahead and view our forecast. So scrolling down here, you can see we have our exact match and phrase match versions of these keywords in our to be determined ad group. So this is the ad group that the keywords you don't think are going to work, you're not quite sure if they're going to work, or you really don't think that they're going to work, but you add them anyway just because you have to experiment. We definitely want to remove our opinions from this process as adamantly as I think that keyword's not going to work. So now let's quickly talk about negative keywords. If you want to jump ahead to the planning and forecasting part of Keyword Manager, you feel like you have it already, here's the timestamp to do that. Again, timestamps below to jump around this video. So now let's go ahead and go back to our keyword ideas here, and we're going to select Business Manager, and let's say I ignore my own advice and I add Business Ads Manager as a negative keyword as well. So we go and click on More here, and then we add as negative keywords, and we're going to add them as phrase match, not broad match. Almost messed up there. And that way we're telling this new campaign, hey, if someone types in this kind of combination of keywords, we don't want to show up because we really think that they're looking for a tutorial on the software, and they're not actually looking for an agency to help them out with their ads. And so you can see here on the last column in red, we have negative keywords, and of course green means the actual keywords. And of course you can also click right here on the left hand side to negative keywords. You can manually add them if you want, as well as modify the ones that you've already added. And so with that, that's the entire process to adding keywords to your plan and of course organizing them. So now let's look at our projections. Now that we have our list of keywords, how much are these actually going to cost? Now, a quick tip before we dive in here, please do this part last because you really want to focus on, I know, broken record, buyer keywords, and then look at how much it's going to cost you. So you don't want to start you don't want to cut keywords from your plan until you have seen all the possible buyer keywords and you go, okay, that keyword's just way too expensive. I really can't pay $50 per click. Most small businesses can't. It's the beauty of those big software companies. All right, let's go ahead and click on forecast here. So just as a summary, you're going to be able to see some basic metrics at the top. If we were to scroll down, of course, we look at our keyword list that we've been referring to throughout our keyword planning. And then we can come up here to the top and we can actually change the time frame. Now, when it comes to recommended monthly budget, $1,500 a month for at least the first 3 months is what I recommend to actually get some good data with Google Ads. Can you go less? Yes. Can you go more? Absolutely. But just as a general average, because I have no idea your specific business, product, service, or situation, as a general average, $1,500 for at least 3 months to understand and test keywords is what we recommend, which comes out to about $40 to $50 per day. Now, of course, if you go less, that just means it'll take longer to get the results that you're looking for or figure out what keywords work. And of course, the more you spend, the quicker you're going to figure out what works and what does not. So it's not like that is a magic number that you have to hit. You can always go lower, and you can always go, like I said, lower and I went up. You can always go lower and you can always go higher. So let's jump back into the interface, talk about the metrics that we have here. And again, these are all estimates. You'd be surprised how different things can be with your campaign, depending upon your campaign settings. So at the very top here, we have our general. We're going to get 8 clicks for $57 for an average daily budget of $1.90. This is over a 30-day period. And we can actually change the average daily budget. So if we click on it and we say, you know what, we're going to go up to $5 a day, and then we click out of it, now our plan has changed. We're going to spend $150 and we're going to get 16 clicks. Now, this chart is almost always going to start at 0 and then go up. And then we can come to the bottom here. We can see what we think the impressions, the cost, the click-through rate. And of course, the click-through rate, Google really doesn't have any idea how your ads are going to perform. They really don't. So you might have amazing ad copy and your click-through rate goes to 2.5% on the second campaign, or it might be terrible and you get a 0.5 click-through rate, which really is awful, right? So I'll actually link up in the description to our Google Ads Copywriter course, because what we found is after this process, when it comes to optimizing and being really successful with your ad campaigns, it all comes down to copywriting. So once you have the keywords are locked in, you know what your buyers are typing in, it becomes a game of just improving your ad copy. So I'll link that up in the description. So now let's go ahead and play with some numbers. So we'll come back in here and we'll change our daily budget to, let's say we drop it to 4. We just want to see what happens when we drop it $1. Well, obviously everything goes down. So this goes back to what happens when you're playing with your budget. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get the data in order to figure out if a keyword works. And so let's go ahead and click on clicks here just so we can see how we can change this little chart, and we'll go ahead and select impressions. And so impressions are the number of times your ad will actually appear, or they think it's going to appear. So that's different than clicks, right? So impression is the ad showed up, and clicked is somebody did something once the ad did show up. And then we can also come in here and take a look at our cost. And of course, you can tell that all charts pretty much start at 0 and then go up from there. So I think this isn't going to be too helpful. I think these numbers at the bottom are way more helpful. But what we can do is come up here to bidding strategy, and we can actually change it to manual CPC. And I won't get into all the different bidding strategies, but I do recommend that you start with manual CPC for your first couple campaigns. And right now what it's set to is Google is looking at maximize clicks. So it's saying if you spend $5 a day, what is the maximum amount of clicks we think we can get you based upon the keywords? Whereas manual CPC, you say, no, I'm not going to pay more than $2 per click. So you tell me how much traffic I can get for $2 per click. Whereas what we just looked at is Google saying, okay, if you're going to spend $5 a day, here's what we think we can get you. I probably could have explained that better. Timestamps to go back. Or you could just leave a thumbs down if that wasn't helpful. Let's go ahead and click on apply. So we're on manual CPC now. You can see our plan has actually changed to asking us what our max CPC is going to be instead of what we want our daily budget to be. And so we have the same options we have here. So I'll go ahead and change this from 12 to, let's say, 45. So we're going crazy, right? So $45 per click. And now we can go ahead and see what the numbers look like once we actually change our cost per click. Now you notice our CTR really hasn't changed all that much, because for the most part, the performance of your ad is going to be based upon the ad copy, which is why I think copywriting is so important when it comes to actually optimizing your campaigns after this process. So now let's go ahead and look at the cost here. You can see that this is the main metric that's going to change as we play with the number up here. And we'll change it to something more reasonable, like $5 a day. And now that I've talked about the importance of ad copywriting and CTRs, we're going to click that, and that stands for click-through rate, and it jumps to 2.2. But take this with a grain of salt, because we're only getting 3 clicks out of a 30-day period. So that's just how the numbers start to work out. And of course, the less impressions you have, the less clicks you're going to have, and this click-through rate is actually going to look better, even though we're only getting 3 clicks, whereas if we go back to 45, we're getting 66 clicks. So you can do a lot more analyzing with 66 clicks versus just 3. So of course you have all of the same information that you had before. Our costs are going to dramatically drop because we're only paying $5 per click. So now let's go ahead and take all this information and actually build a campaign. We can actually build a campaign straight from this interface. Now, I do recommend pausing the campaign immediately so you can go through all of the intricacies of the campaign settings. I'll link up in the cards in the description, full-blown Google Ads tutorial that goes through that. But now we can come up here and click on the Create Campaign button. And we'll go ahead and give the campaign a quick name here. And then of course we can set our budget. So I'll just name it something after this video so I know to pause it immediately. And then we can go ahead and click on custom, and I'm just going to put it at $5 a day and go ahead and click on save. And so you are going to, of course, once we save, the campaign has been actually set up. And so this is what it thinks it's going to perform. It's going to be an average cost of $4.33 per click. So we're only going to get 2 clicks over a 30-day period. We definitely would have a lot of work to do in terms of changing what our costs are or how many keywords we're using. That's another strategy. If you're looking at this, just reduce the amount of keywords that you're bidding on so that more of your budget can go towards a smaller pool of keywords and you'll get some actual good data out of it. So now what we can do is scroll down here, see our ad groups. Of course, this isn't going to run because we have to write our ads, which is the next most important part. And if we come back to the top, we can click on View Campaign, and we will actually now be outside of the Google Ads keyword tool. I've been talking for a while. So we're outside the keyword ads tool. Oh my gosh, that's not the way to say that. And then we are inside of our new campaign. And so what you'd want to do is you'd want to go to campaign settings here and change up where your location targeting is, your timing, your daily budget, or the ad networks, probably uncheck display network because that's probably been checked and you don't want that to happen. And then of course you can click on ads and extensions to add your ad extensions, and of course add your actual search ads. Again, link in the description to our full-blown copywriter workshop to help you write really good high click-through rate ads. So just scrolling down, you can see that our campaign is set up. It just needs that ad copy, a couple tweaks to the campaign settings, and you'll be good to go. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you are a lot more confident when it comes to the Google Ads Keyword Planner. This is a very time-consuming process. Yes, there are softwares out there that talk about getting you better keywords, but when it comes to actually figuring out what keywords you need, the buyer keywords, the Google Ads Keyword Planner really is all you need. Just take the time, figure out those keywords, check out that link in the description to the copywriter course so you have buyer keywords, you have the best ads you can, and you're set up for success. So hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive Google Ads videos and other marketing videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.